sounds to me like you are speaking to the frustration that people like John and many others in audiences like this have, which is that there's a credibility problem. And many folks just simply said if you weren't going to enforce the laws as they already existed, then what does it make a difference if we just create new ones? And that's kind of what it sounds like you're speaking to that a little bit.
That is what I'm saying. Our current system is broken. This system isn't working. So at some point in time, you do need to deal with it, but nobody believes you're going to enforce what's currently on the books. And so until you can establish that credibility, this is not the right time. It's not the right bill. I just think the message is starting to catch on. I'm a full-scale conservative, economic and social conservative. I've outlined those principles. I've lived by those principles since I came in with the revolution in 1994 in the House and went in the Senate in 1996. I've tried to live my life by those principles as well. And so I have failed in many things. For as far as, not quite living the way I would want to, but I've tried to live those ways. And my wife and I have been married for 25 years. We've got 5 kids. I think the message and the messenger mix, and I think people are supporting it.
I understand you've got somebody that I know, Chuck Hurley, working with you on the Faith and Family Leadership Committee. Tell me about that.
Well, Chuck and I are old buddies. We went to K-State together. I hope nobody holds that against him or me.
You weren't there when Bill Snyder was there, right?
No. Okay. I came after Bill Snyder, but thank you very much. He came out of that University of Iowa system. He was fabulous in turning things around for us. I was there when K-State had the bumper sticker, I-70 K-State nothing, because we'd always getting beat in football all the time, but now much better. But Chuck and I have worked together, and we've worked together over the years on some of these core social issues. At my heart, I think we've got to rebuild the family structure in this country. I'm an economic and a fiscal conservative, but the thing we're really missing is we've got 36% of our children born out of wedlock. We've got 63% in Washington, D.C.
It's 68.5% in just the black community alone, kids born out of wedlock.
This is killing us for as far as our early development of human capital. We've got to strengthen families, and right now on welfare, if you get married, you get penalized. And I think that's crazy. I think we ought to give people a bonus if they would get married. I mean, to me, that's one of the key basics we've got to get done. That's one of the key reasons Chuck Hurley's helping me out.
It's the oldest social institution in creation. It's older than the church. That's the family.
And the last thing we need to do is to redefine marriage. We need to strengthen it, not define it out of existence. And I know these are difficult issues for a lot of people because they're very personal issues. But as a society, we really need to emphasize these basics. And if we do, we're going to be able to grow and move forward. And if we don't, I think you're going to see government fill the void on these. And the government has a cold heart and stiff arms. If you're hugged by the government, woe to you.
Is in Parkersburg. Kevin, welcome to Deace in the Afternoon. You're on with Senator Brownback.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome, Kevin.
Senator, nice to talk to you.
Hey, Kevin, how are you doing?
Very good, very good. Hey, I have a comment, or a question and then a comment. I'd love to hear both, and I'll hang up.
All right.
The question is about your flat tax. I think it's fantastic you're giving somebody an option, because that's democracy at its finest. That's where it should be. But my question is this. If you're charging, say, 15%, is that including FICA or the payroll tax?
No.
So that would be on top of that?
Yeah, it's payroll tax is a separate issue, and this is just an option within the income tax system.
Yeah, because that's something I don't think people realize, especially myself as an independent business owner. We pay 15% no matter what. And it just kills us. I mean, it really kills the individual out here.
Oh, payroll taxes. I mean, another soapbox, but payroll taxes are the biggest taxes that 40 to 50% of the country pays, individuals. And it is very regressive, and it's one of the reasons I'm pushing a personal Social Security account option. Again, an option. Let people stay in the current system if they want to, but create that optional account because the system really doesn't work for the generation behind mine. I mean, my kids, 3 of our 5 children, are working part-time jobs and paying some payroll taxes, and it's a pretty large percentage of what they're earning. Now, they're not making a lot of money, but the system doesn't work for this next generation, and we need to provide them a different option.
David, in my hometown of West Des Moines. David, welcome to the program. You're on with Senator Brownback.
Hello, Senator.
Hi, David.
Last night we had an election in central Iowa, 3 of the most populated counties, and it was historic the way people voted no on a tax increase.
Yes.
Very historic, and I noticed a lot of young people even voted no. What you can do to encourage the young people find jobs and work and a place for them in our society, and also what you can do to restore credibility and honesty in our government.
All right, David, we'll allow him to address those off air. Good questions. Thank you, sir.
They are. And I would, at the outset of your question, people are taxed to the max. I don't know how many people have seen these surveys and information about how much time a person in an individual state works for the government at all levels, federal, state, and local, on taxes. And I'm not sure exactly what the number is in Iowa, but in Kansas, you're into May, I think, people working just for the government.
I think it was May 30th this year in Iowa, I think is what it was.
Wow. Well, I mean, just think about that. I'm working for the government until May the 30th. I mean, that's why people don't want more taxes, or even the sort of shift that some might say taking place. And we can do better if we would find ways to cut government spending. And that's what we've not done in the system, which I think people are screaming about, is find a way to cut wasteful government spending. That's what I described this CARFA bill, this BRAC proposal for the rest of government. A grace commission with a vote, because if you started to do that and people saw you actually eliminating government spending that wasn't highly effective, they might start to say, well, maybe you guys can manage these dollars well, instead of constantly coming to the people for more money.
You mentioned, the caller mentioned credibility. I think that we saw the country move left in the last election, not necessarily philosophically, Senator, but on the basis of credibility, because I think that they were astounded at what they saw, particularly on the spending end, from what is traditionally known as a frugal political party. And I think the credibility gap on issues such as that, from the White House down to through the last Congress, I think that hurt the Republican Party more than anything else. I really believe that that your side has a credibility issue with the American people, as the last caller addressed, in terms of, are we going to we sent you there to do this? Are you going to actually do it? And that's the toughest thing, I think, for any political party or candidate to overcome, as a credibility issue.
I think we lost the last election. I don't think the Democrats won it. I think we lost it off of losing sight of our priorities and our principles, and I also think the Iraq War contributed. I think both of those were key features. We've got to get that back. But the beauty for the Republican Party is the country hasn't moved. The country is still a center-right country. It's there with us on social issues. It's there with us on fiscal issues. But we got fired because we didn't hang in there, particularly on fiscal. I heard this all the time. You guys are just spending this money. That's why you got to change the system. I have been a part of a Congress that's cut the budget. When I came in '94, we cut the budget the next year. But trying to do that consistently is really tough, because people, generally, they come back to Des Moines and say, look, I got you this bridge, this hospital.
Yep.
We need this subsidy here.
I got you a rainforest out in the middle of nowhere in Iowa. Exactly.
And people advocate for those. I've been in the U.S. Congress or the House since 1994. I have yet to have a constituent come in and say to me, we're getting too much federal money. Would you please cut it?
The progress report is due out soon. It appears that some of it's already being leaked. The Iraqi provisional government did not meet any of its benchmarks. Some of your colleagues in the Senate, like Senator Alexander, like Senator Domenici and others, Senator Lugar, another one, kind of falling off the wayside here in terms of no longer supporting the president and what we're trying to do there in Iraq. Has your support for the mission in Iraq in terms of its success in the future wavered at all? And tell us a little bit about your solution for how to actually get some semblance of victory there right now.
My solution is a 3-state soft partition. A Kurdish state, a Sunni state, a Shia state within one federal government, and equally dividing the oil revenues on a per capita basis. I think that is the only political solution. We can't solve a Sunni-Shia fight. And we should, as much as anything, just recognize that reality and work to get that done. And this is actually a bipartisan proposal that I put forward with Joe Biden and several other individuals. But you cannot as well pull our troops out precipitously. We need to have troops there for some period of time, but we need to get them back from the front lines. We need to get a political solution that would actually work, and this is one that actually could work.
Senator, thanks for coming in today. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. Good to join you, and thanks for your chance to be on with your listeners.
You're welcome. I'm sure we'll do this again. We'll come back.